So today, on the Vaishnava calendar, it's listed as the disappearance day of Ramananda Roy. So, Haribol. So we're going to chant the prayers. What? Why? Why what? Water? No. No, fine. So we're going to chant the prayers of the departed Vaishnavas. Saparshada Gora Viraha Vilapa. And it's in the songbook. It's on the last page of the songbook. Jayanila Prema Dana Koruna Prachu Hey no Prabhu Kotagela Charya Daku Kamura Saruprupa Kasanatan Kagatasa Raghunatha Patita Pavagan Kahamura Bhatta Juga Kagavira Ekakale Kotagela Gora Nataragas Pashane Kutibo Mata Annale Bachik Mo Goranga Go Neranere Kotakele Babo Se Sama Sangira Sange Ye Koina Vilas Se Sangana Payakande Narotam Moda Srinivas. Jayadila Prema Dana Karuna Pracho Jaya Jaya Thakur, Jaya Jaya Thakur, Jaya Jaya Thakur, Jaya Jaya Thakur. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya. Also tell us that to Shrimad, His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shidwaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopigopada Saya Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Ki Jai, Maturadam Ki Jai, Jagadada Swami Ki Jai, Vanamaya Ki Jai, Srimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bo. All glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we'll read the translation from this poem. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where is such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta, and where is Krishna's Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. So today we are commemorating the disappearance day of Sripad Ramananda Roy, the great associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so Om Ganat Timiranda Shah, Gadanjana Shlagaya Chakshur, many times, Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. According to the Acharyas Kavi Kanapur, his Gaurikanadesh Dipika, Ramananda Roy is the appearance or incarnation or avatar of Vishaka Devi. And of course, Swarup Damodar Goswami is considered to be the avatar of Lalita Devi. Now, also Ramananda Roy is considered to be an avatar of Arjuna. Very interesting combination. So, whether that's empowered or is the actual person, that's another subject matter which is beyond or above my pay grade, so to speak. So, anyway, Ramananda Roy was in a Shudra family. Of course, he was in charge of this area called Chennai, or previously Madras, but his family was considered a Shudra family, And in spite of being in the Shudra family, he was able to understand and even teach the highest truths to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's very interesting how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu utilized Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Malecha family, in a Muslim family, to be the Namacharya. And then he has Sripad Ramananda Roy, who is from a Shudra family, giving him instructions in the higher aspects of Krishna consciousness. And of course, in the interaction between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, this very interesting verse was spoken, Kiva Vipra Kiva Nyashi Shudra Kena Nai, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hoy. That famous verse, of course, Kiva Vipra Kiva Nyasi, whether one is a learned person, whether one is a sannyasi, Shudra, or even a Shudra, if one knows the science of Krishna, then that person is understood to be a guru. And whether it's an initiating guru or a Siksha guru or whatever, but that particular person is understood. Regardless, there's also, in relationship to something Mother Urmila was talking about yesterday, hinting at. Regardless of the gender, because Mother Urmila is making reference to this obscure text that has been misinterpreted and changed throughout the years, that actually talks about, well, doesn't talk. In the text, it's some information how women can't become gurus. But that information is from a text that has been changed, misinterpreted, taken out of context. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's opinion is Kiva Vipra Kiva Nyasi Shudra Kena Nai, Ye Krishna Tattva Vetak Se Guru Hoy. Then anyone can become guru if they know the science of Krishna. Of course, knowing the science of Krishna is not just theoretically knowing the science of Krishna. Knowing the science of Krishna means practical realization and practice and showing an example. So that's called acharya. That's what it means to know the science of Krishna. Philosophically, of course, but one doesn't have to be that expert in, let's say, memorizing millions and millions of verses, just like my dear godbrother, Jayananda. Well, I don't think he memorized any verses other than Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Galo Dashteva. I think that's the only verse he ever memorized, besides Hare Krishna Mahamantra and Prabhupada Pranati. So, and I would certainly accept him, his instruction from him and initiation from him, because he's a pure devotee of Krishna. Or what to speak of that devotee that that Lord Chaitanya came across, who was crying while he was turning the pages of the Bhagavad Gita, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, "Why are you crying?" And he said, "Because I am perceiving how wonderful it is that Krishna has become the chariot driver of his devotee Arjuna. Even though I'm illiterate, I'm perceiving this." And people were making fun of him. You know, "You're illiterate. What are you doing turning the pages?" And at that time, I don't think there were pictures in the Bhagavad Gita, but he had this spiritual vision, and Lord Chaitanya said, "You're the real knower of Bhagavad Gita." So that's the real point. So, of course, Ramananda Roy was able to explain the highest truths to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Roy was in a family of 5 brothers who were considered to be the 5 Pandavas, you know, that including him. And then his father's name was Bhavananda Roy, who's considered to be Pandu. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Lord Ramananda Roy is quite interesting, and it begins with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya speaking with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is after Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became Krishna conscious by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that when you go to South India, you should go to see the governor of Madras, who is Ramananda Roy, and he's on the banks of the Godavari River. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was told by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that previously I didn't really recognize his devotional mood, his devotional attitude. Previously, I thought he was just a sentimental devotee because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, previous to his enlightenment, was absorbed in Brahman. You know, he was thinking that merging into the absolute or understanding everything as one is the highest realization. And after he came in contact with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and got the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually wasn't even interested in the word mukti anymore. Like there's an interesting verse in the Bhagavatam, mukti pade sadayavak tatedo kampam sushumikshimana punjanivatma kritam vipakam ridvag vapurve vidadam namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayavak, which verse states that if one goes on tolerating all the problems that come in this world, and actually even thinks that the problems that are coming are due to my past or one's past activities, and keep serving the Lord with one's body, mind, and words, one becomes a fit recipient or a fit inheritor for pure devotional service. So the word mukti pade, and of Krishna of course is called Mukunda, and mukti pade, you know, mukti or liberation is at Krishna's feet. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he became adverse to that word mukti, because generally the word mukti just indicates impersonal liberation. At least that's what he was accustomed to. So when he was talking to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he changed the verse to bhakti pade, which is not necessarily wrong philosophically, but it's wrong because you can't really change the verses in the Bhagavatam to suit your particular understanding. You have to use hermeneutics and study Mother Irmala's course to understand how to come to the correct understanding. So anyway, that's how much of a devotee he became. He was adverse to anything to do or anything connected with previous impersonal liberation. So he told Lord Chaitanya he should go see Ramananda Roy. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embarked on his tour of South India. First he went to Singhachalam, where he saw the self-manifested deity of Lord Nrsingadev. And it's a beautiful deity that's covered with gold plate. And in this deity, they feed the deity this sugar water, which is gourd water, and half of what they pour into the deity's mouth, he's actually connected to the mountain. He's actually manifest from the mountain there, and half of the water they pour into his mouth, he drinks, and half comes out. It doesn't matter how much they pour in. They could pour in 500 gallons and still get the same result. And then what comes out, they give to the deity, to the devotees as his remnants. So this is prasadam. One day we can take all the devotees there. Anyway, so then later, Lord Chaitanya went to the Godavari, and he went to bathe in the Godavari, and he saw this person on a palanquin, and he was surrounded by many learned brahmanas. And Lord Chaitanya could understand, this is Ramananda Roy, but Lord Chaitanya patiently waited to see him. He wanted to run to see him, but he held himself back. So then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did something that he does in certain circumstances. He manifested his effulgence. It's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He manifested an effulgence of 100 suns' brilliance. And so Ramananda Roy certainly would need some sunglasses. So it was 100 suns of brilliance. But obviously wasn't. I mean, it was bright, but it wasn't blinding like that. So Ramananda Roy went to see him, offered obeisances, and he introduced himself and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Ramananda Roy embraced, and they both lost consciousness. And there were these eightfold Ashtasattva Bhava symptoms that were being manifested. And when he did that, all the brahmanas, the learned brahmanas who were surrounding Ramananda Roy, became very confused. They were thinking, why is this sannyasi embracing this low-class Shudra? Because generally, there was this caste distinction at that particular point. And so people who are Brahmins, sannyasis were naturally Brahmins, they wouldn't be touching people of a lower caliber or lower caste. So, but they remained embraced like that, and eventually, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy understood this was causing confusion. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to glorify Ramananda Roy as the topmost devotee. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'm simply a Mayavadi sannyasi. So let's meet in the evening when all these brahmanas are not around so we can discuss the higher topics of Krishna consciousness. And in the evening, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy met. And when they met, they engaged in a series of questions and answers. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the questions, and Ramananda Roy replied. So this is very, very interesting, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was testing Ramananda Roy. Sometimes you'll find the disciple tests a guru, or the guru tests the disciple in different ways, by sometimes even giving an explanation that's not completely philosophically correct, such as in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam. We find that Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadeva Goswami, how can someone be freed from the hellish punishments that were previously described in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam? And then Shukadeva Goswami gives what would be considered an incomplete or improper explanation. He says one can become freed by performing prayaschita. Prayaschita means atonement. Actually, in the religion that I was brought up in, we have one day of atonement. The rest of the day is enjoyment. The rest of the year is enjoyment. One day, right? And during that day, you're supposed to fast the whole day and say, I'm sorry for what I did. So it became further advanced in Christianity when you had one day a week, Sunday, to confess. So anyway, in this way, Shukadeva Goswami, Shukadeva Goswami is giving Maharaj Parikshit the wrong explanation, and Maharaj Parikshit was not happy with this. He said, if one atones, one still has the sinful desire to perform that activity, and then one may perform that activity again. And he compared it to an elephant bathing, kunjara shochara. So sometimes we find explanations given by the guru or by the disciple are not the highest explanation, and that's to test the disciple or test the guru. So anyway, so here's the series of questions that were answered, and questions that were made and answered by Ramananda Roy. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, what is the ultimate goal of life? And what is the process, basically the process for achieving that goal? And Ramananda Roy answered, basically, Varnashram, like Chaturvarna Mayashastam Guna Karma Vibhagashat. Now, Varnashram is not something that we reject. It's a process for organizing society. And society naturally gets organized anyway, but it's better to recognize it. I mean, in every society, even if you go into the communist society, there's an intellectual class, there's a ruling class, there's a worker class, and there's a business class, and you can't get away from that. However, with Varnashram, the idea is, the reason to institute Varnashram is to recognize these different classes so that the proper people will be placed in the proper classes according to guna and karma. That means their qualities and work, not according to their birth. So, for example, Prabhupada gave the example that during during the Vietnam War, the government was drafting so many people who were not exactly Kshatriya by nature. Some of them were Shudras, some of them were other classes by nature, and it was a disaster. If you want to employ someone as a soldier, they have to have the proper nature. And if you want to employ someone as a businessman, they have to have the proper nature. So this is a very important point. So Varnashram, we're not rejecting Varnashram, but we need to understand how to properly apply it. Now, at the same time, if we ritualistically apply Varnashram without understanding how to apply it according to time, place, and circumstance, then it can actually create havoc too. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Varnashram as the highest goal. He said, now this is simply, it can be mundane. It's not that everybody has to be a devotee in Varnashram. So then, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Varnashram is external. Give me some other means. And so then Ramananda Roy recited this verse, Yat Kurosi Yadasnashi Yadasnashi Yadasiyat Yatapashashi Kantiya Tat Kurishwa Bararpanam. And he said, this is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita that says, whatever you do, whatever you offer should be done as an offering to me. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is also external. Why is that external? Even though we agree with that verse, it's external because many people are doing that for karma mishra purposes. Karma mishra bhakti means that one performs bhakti or offers things to Krishna for some other purpose, like we have in the Hindu society. There's this Satyanarayan Katha, in which they actually talk about, they tell stories during the Satyanarayan Katha, how different people worshipped Narayan, and they became very rich as a result of that. That's part of it. I don't know if anyone's been to a Satyanarayan Katha, but that they tell these stories just to inspire people. Just like in our Fiji temple, Vasudeva Prabhu, my dear godbrother, insisted upon having pictures that would inspire people to give money so that they would get money. And can anyone think of any of those pictures? What? Sudama Brahman, yeah. Yeah, so specifically he put these two pictures out front there so that people would be inspired to give money. I mean, because he was Vaishya by nature. A nice devotee, but Vaishya by nature. So for a Vaishya, the donation box is the most important part of the temple room. The kiosks. So, that's funny. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, go further. And Ramananda Roy said, well, further is one should renounce his occupation and duties and for Krishna. And he quoted the verse, 1866, Sarvadharma Prachaja. And Lord Chaitanya said, no, say something more. I'm trying to get to a higher level. And then Ramananda Roy talked about Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Jnana Mishra Bhakti, it means that one is performing bhakti basically for the process of getting out of the material world and getting liberated. And Ramananda Roy quoted the verse, Brahmabhuta prasanatma nasavshati nakankshati samak sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, this is external. Give me something more. And then Ramananda Roy started to explain pure devotional service. Anyabi lashata shunyam yana karmana vratam anukul yena krishnanu shilam bhakti uttamam. Pure devotional service is characterized with one being devoid of desire for subtle or gross sense gratification or liberation or powers, bhukti, mukti, siddhi, kam, any of those things. And by positively, the devotee wanting to please Krishna in the way that Krishna wants to be pleased in an active way. So that's pure devotional service. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, you finally got it, but speak something more. And then Ramananda Roy talked about ecstatic love, by which one achieves by intense greed. And of course, this is, in the beginning, that's in reference to neutrality. And Lord Chaitanya said, that is very good, but tell me more. And then Lord Ramananda Roy started to speak about servitude, dasaras, and then again, tell me more. And then friendship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, higher ras, then good, more parental relationship, and good. And finally, he came to the conjugal relationship, and they went even further. And Ramananda Roy said, you're the first person who asked about anything further. And he began to explain Radharani's love and Radha Kund and Radharani leaving the dance and Krishna following and Vipralamba Seva. So this was the first discussion they had. But they met for 10 days. And other days they had discussions about practical things in this world that are a little bit different than the previous discussion. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, what is the best education? And Ramananda Roy replied, devotional service is the best education and is the only valuable education. What are the most glorious activities? The answer was devotees and devotional service. Who is the topmost capitalist? I like that one. One who is richest in love for Radha and Krishna. That's real wealth. What's the most painful distress? Separation from the devotees. Who is the greatest liberated person? He who has love for Krishna. What are the best songs about the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna? Actually, when devotees lead kirtan, they should always lead kirtans that are in accordance with our acharyas. Just like one of the devotees sent me a link of different kirtan eras in our movement, and many of them are getting into like Shiva kirtans and things like that. And Prabhupada would be livid with the devotees doing that. So, best songs about loving affairs of Radha and Krishna, best auspicious and beneficial activities. The only auspicious activities are association with devotees. What shall always we remember? Krishna's qualities, names, and pastimes. What meditation is required? The lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Where should one live? Vrindavan, Brajabhumi. What are the best topics? Loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. What is the best worshipable object? The holy name of Radha and Krishna, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. What is the destination of those who want liberation and those who want sense gratification? Those who want liberation, says they eventually will get bodies like those of trees. And those who want sense gratification, they can get bodies like those of the demigods. So in this way, Ramananda Roy was answering Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Ramananda Roy, out of his humility, attributed his words to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his heart. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his form of Shyama Sundara before Ramananda Roy. Then he exhibited himself as a golden doll. And Ramananda Roy asked, what's happening? And Lord Chaitanya replied, you are an advanced devotee and you see Krishna everywhere. And Ramananda Roy says, be serious about this. Tell me who you are. And Ramananda Roy recognized him as Krishna in the mood of Radharani, and he saw the form, a special form of Lord Chaitanya in which Radha and Krishna were one. And Lord Chaitanya said, for you, but for you, no one has seen this form before. There's actually a beautiful picture of this where there's Radha and Krishna sort of like entwined. And Lord Chaitanya said, my body is fair because it has touched the body of Radharani. So then he instructed Ramananda Roy, come to Puri and retire and we can enjoy Krishna consciousness together. So that's the story. Actually, I have a lot more information than that. So what I wanted to do to finish up the class is read from the Anjalila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, hopefully you have time, I'll go quite fast, about Ramananda Roy's renunciation and being able to arrange for the Deva Dasis, the dancers for Lord Jagannath, in a very intimate way. So I'm going to read, this is from Anjalila, chapter 5, beginning text 4. One day, Prajuna Mishra came to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offering his respects and inquiring from him in great submission. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I do not know about topics concerning Lord Krishna. I think that only Ramananda Roy knows. So I'm skipping some of the verses here. For I hear these topics from him. Unable to see Ramananda Roy immediately, Prajuna Mishra inquired from the servant, who then described what Sri Ramananda Roy was doing. He described there are two dancing girls who are extremely beautiful. They are very youthful, and they are expert in dancing and singing. Srila Ramananda Roy has taken these two girls to a solitary place in his garden, where he is teaching and directing them to dance according to the songs he has composed for his drama. Please sit here and wait for a few moments. As soon as he comes, he will execute whatever order you give. So it's described with his own hand, Ramananda Roy massaged their bodies with oil and bathed them with water. Indeed, Ramananda Roy cleansed their entire bodies with his own hand. Although he dressed these two young girls and decorated their bodies with his own hand, he remained unchanged. Such is the mind of Srila Ramananda Roy. While touching the young girls, he was like a person touching wood or stone, for his body and mind were unaffected. Srila Ramananda Roy used to act in that way because he thought of himself in his original position as a maidservant of the gopis. Though externally he appeared to be a man, internally, in his original spiritual position, he considered himself a maidservant and considered the two girls gopis. The greatness of the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the devotees are exceedingly difficult to understand. He taught them how to express the symptoms of continuous natural and transitional ecstasies with the movements of their faces, their eyes, and other parts of their bodies. Through the feminine poses and dances they were taught by Sriman Ramananda Roy, the two girls precisely exhibited all the expressions of ecstasy before Lord Jagannath. Then Ramananda Roy fed the two girls sumptuous prasadam and sent them to their homes unexposed. Every day he trained the two Devadasis how to dance, who among the small living entities, their minds always absorbed in material sense gratification, could understand the mentality of Sri Ramananda Roy. He offered his obeisances to Prajuna Mishra with all respect, and then with great humility spoke as follows. Sir, you came here long ago, but no one informed me. Therefore I have certainly become an offender at your lotus feet. Prajuna Mishra replied, I came simply to see you. Now I have purified myself by seeing your honor. Because Prajuna Mishra saw that it was late, he did not say anything else to Ramananda Roy. Instead, he took leave of him and returned to his home. The next day, when Prajuna Mishra arrived in the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord inquired, have you heard talks about Krishna from Sri Ramananda Roy? So actually Pradyumna Mishra explained to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu what Ramananda Roy was doing. And Lord Chaitanya said, I'm a sannyasi, Lord Chaitanya said, and I certainly consider myself renounced, but what to speak of seeing a woman, even if I hear the name of a woman, I feel it changes my body and mind. Therefore, who could remain unmoved by the sight of a woman? It is very difficult. Everyone, please hear these topics about Ramananda Roy. Although they are so wonderful and uncommon, they should not be spoken. The authority for such acts is the prerogative of Ramananda Roy alone, for I can understand that his body is not material, for it has been completely transformed into a spiritual entity. Pradyumna Mishra went to Ramananda Roy, who offered him respectful obeisances and said, Please order me, for what purpose have you come? Pradyumna Mishra answered, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has sent me to hear topics about Lord Krishna from you. Hearing this, Ramananda Roy became absorbed in ecstatic love and began to speak with great devotion. There is one other thing, Ramananda Roy said to me. Do not consider me the speaker in these talks about Krishna. And whatever I speak is personally spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu like a stringed instrument. I vibrate whatever he causes me to speak. In this way, the Lord speaks through the mouth to preach the cult of Krishna, through the mouth, my mouth, that's Ramananda Roy, to preach the cult of Krishna consciousness within the world. Who will understand the pastime of the Lord? What I have heard from Ramananda Roy is like a nectarian ocean of discourses about Krishna. This Pradyumna Mishra is speaking. Even the demigods, beginning with Lord Brahma, cannot understand these topics. My dear Lord, you have made me drink this transcendental nectar of Krishna Katha. Therefore, I am sold to your lotus feet, life after life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Ramananda Roy is a man of great humility. Therefore, he has attributed his own words to another's intelligence. That is a natural characteristic of those advanced in devotional service. They do not personally speak of their own realizations. So, any questions about Sripad Ramananda Roy or any of these pastimes or the interaction with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, thank you for this very nice class. I wanted to ask, were they together the whole time, Chaitanya?
What's that?
If Ramananda Roy was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as he toured different areas, or did he stay in one place?
He stayed in Jagannath Puri with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He didn't travel with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay, thank you.
Lord Chaitanya met him in Madras, which is Chennai, actually nowadays. And Lord Chaitanya said, you should retire. And he was working under King Prataparudra. And when he went to King Prataparudra and said, I want to retire, King Prataparudra gave him, basically the same salary so he could stay with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because King Prataparudra was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mm-hmm. So he retired. So he was one of the, 3.5, sorry about this, intimate devotees that were with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discussed the intimate pastimes. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not talk about the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna publicly. It's not that he would give a class and talk about the intimate pastimes publicly. Only with the people in general, it was chant Hare Krishna, basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness, and with Ramananda Roy, Sikhi Mahiti sister, and Swarup Damodar Goswami, he talked about these intimate loving exchanges between Radha and Krishna. So one has to be very careful. If Lord Chaitanya was so cautious, what to speak of ourselves? We should be very cautious about these things. So, other questions or comments? Yes, Daya.
An incarnation of Arjuna.
This was revealed by this devotee Kavi Karnapur, who wrote in this book called the Gora Ganadesh Deepika. Now, these devotees have realization, and the realization is what described in the Bhagavad Gita. Prachaksha Bhagamam Dharmyam Shushukam Karta Avyam. They have direct perception of these particular personalities and who they are incarnations or avatars of. So it's called the Gora Ganadesh Dipika, which describes who in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was who in Krishna's pastimes.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Andani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Bhanti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Govindam. Namago Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gurmani Vachar Nivesesha Shunyavane Paschachare Satarane. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Chidwaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Gadada Sivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Golokinana Rana Golokinana Draga Jaya. Jaya Radha Golokinana Rana Golokinana Draga Jaya. Jaya Radha Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnu Pad.
Marjanam Bhavamahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Buni Vardhanam Pratitamam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis tatrapita niyamita smarane nakala etadrishita vakripa bhagavan mamapi durdaiva midrishameham janina nuraga trinadapi sunichena tarorapi suhishuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari Nadaram najanam nasundarim